And that brings us to the main event here for PFL Chicago. And if you're enjoying the content, hit that like and subscribe button as we break down this main event between Sergio Pettis and Mitch McKee. And I got to say, if you're unfamiliar with Mitch McKee, I was before doing this breakdown. I think this kid's a real prospect. I'm really excited for this main event. Great stylistic matchup between these two. And let's start off with Mitch McKee. Mitchell McKee here wrestled out of Division I in Minnesota and 2019 All-American at that program. He does train out of Killcliff, obviously a great gym to be training at with the likes of Logan Storley, who you will probably see corner him in this fight. Logan Storley, his mentor as well, he actually got into MMA through Logan Storley and his connections. He was obviously wrestling and then transitioned into the sport. Logan Storley, a great mentor for him, especially with the well-rounded skill set and the wrestling background that Logan Storley has to be able to transition Mitch McKee into the world of MMA. And I'm impressed with this kid. I think that he can really push a pace with the wrestling. He does a good job of feinting his level changes. And one of the things that I really like, you see these high-level wrestlers coming in from Division I programs, and you see it as well in the co-main event with guys like Jordan Newman, how they're able to manage the well-rounded game of MMA. It's not just about their wrestling, but also about their kickboxing and their striking. And I think that this guy's doing a good job of kind of working on all of his weaknesses. And his boxing looks decent. He carries a lot of power in the hands. He does a good job of being able to trade in the pocket, ripping to the body, and then coming upstairs. He doesn't necessarily headhunt, which I like. He bounces very light on his feet, bouncing in and out of range. My one criticism or a couple of criticisms about this kid is that when he does trade in the pocket, I think that he falls in love and kind of watches his damage or watches his work a little bit too much. He'll stay in the pocket, and ultimately sometimes he does get countered for that reason. He'll land one or two big shots, rip to the body, come upstairs, and then his opponent will fire back, and he'll be there ready to kind of receive those shots instead of kind of backing up or at least expecting to have his opponent counter. So that's something I would like to see him work on a little bit more. Obviously still only 28, so he's got a lot of time to improve. But a guy like Sergio Pettis can definitely capitalize on an opponent here in Mitch McKee that basically is not, going to sit and trade in the pocket. I think he's got a good counter-striking ability in Sergio Pettis, so he's got to be mindful of that. And I do think as well, another issue that he can have is at times, because he does stay in the pocket, he can get hit with spinning attacks, which we know with Pettis is a big thing for him. Obviously coming off that spinning elbow knockout of Magomedov. So he's got to be mindful of the spinning attacks of Pettis in this matchup. He's got to make sure he doesn't stand and trade in the pocket. And I think as well, one of the things that we saw with Mitch McKee in the regional scene over in the LFA, which is where he's fought most of his 10 fights, he does a good job of being able to get on top and land ground and pound. He's not one of these lay and pray wrestlers. He will look to, kind of do damaging shots and really land power. That's why I'm excited for this main event, because I think, when you go back and look at Sergio Pettis' last performance against Magomedov, he was taken down in that fight before he was able to get that spinning elbow. And I think that's always been a criticism of him, where you can, these strong wrestlers can take Pettis down, control him on the ground, beat him up for long periods of rounds. And I think that's why this is a great stylistic matchup. I am going to lean ever so slightly to Pettis here. He does a good job of throwing up triangles and arm bars off of his back to create scrambles. I do think here, obviously, he has fought the much tougher level of competition here inside of MMA, obviously in the PFL as well, in Bellator, and in the UFC. I'm going to give him the slight edge here. I think that he can use his kicks as well to be able to light up the lead leg of Mitch McKee, which is a little bit of a weakness at times. Mitchell McKee can, kind of lean very heavy on that lead leg. I think Pettis can do a good job of chewing up that lead leg. And I think he needs to be careful as well with the spinning attacks, using them, kind of few and far between, because as we know, when guys like to spin, these heavy wrestlers will time that shot, duck underneath, and get a level change here. And I think this is, like I said, a great stylistic matchup. What Pettis does well is kind of what McGee, has kind of been his weakness or his kryptonite up until this point, or at least holes in his game, and vice versa with Pettis, where he's struggled. He's been taken down by these high-level wrestlers. So not a confident pick from me. I am going to go with Pettis just to use his experience, do a little bit more damage. And I think, obviously, the 5-round experience as well for Pettis might shine through here in this main event. So give me Sergio Pettis here to get this one done in this main event for PFL Chicago.